Kitui is a place that forges strength. In pre-colonial times, this county in southern Kenya was settled by master ironsmiths. Their work put tools in the hands of their communities, scraping a means of survival across these semi-arid plains. Ironworking is much less common in Kitui today. Now, most inhabitants earn a living through agricultural endeavors. They raise animals like goats and chickens and tend small-scale farms. But the spirit of early tradesmen has been kept alive by each passing generation. Much like the iron in the fire, the people of Kitui have been forged by their environment. They rise to the challenges of life here, meeting harsh demands with resilience and determination. Zipporah Malusi has lived in Kitui her whole life. And over the past 45 years, she's developed a system of survival. Water is crucial, and collecting it has been on Zipporah's to-do list since she was a child. In Kitui, it's customary to fetch water, using donkeys to carry the heavy load. But Zipporah's parents didn't have any. At the age of 5, she walked more than 2 miles round trip to the nearest river.
Tukatawakivu tukete kuita around 5 tuenda usini kwacha tukaita weekends ila kute school tukaamka kwacha.
40 years later, and Zipporah's trek is much shorter thanks to this hand-dug well on her property. It produces enough water to cook and clean with, but not nearly enough to water her crops. So Zipporah's farm is at the mercy of rainfall, an unfortunate reality considering Kitui's semi-arid climate.
We wait for the rain. Tunangojea mvua inanyesha, tunapanda, na ikienda ni hivyo.
Farming is back-breaking work that yields unreliable results. But in Zipporah's village, called Mutulukuni, it's one of the only ways to get food or money. Most people have no savings, pulling just enough produce from the earth to get by. It may come as no surprise that many Mutulukuni residents have moved away, but not for economic reasons. Subsistence farming is a common practice in this part of Kenya after all. The real reason was much more personal to Zipporah.
Wakati nilikuwa na miaka 6, siku moja ilifanyika jioni, tulipiga chakula as usual. Mvua ilipoanza kunyesha, nyumba ikaanza kuwaka moto tukiwa tumelala.
Because she had spent that night at her grandmother's house, Zipporah was spared from the fire that destroyed her parents' home.
Ndio sasa tulipoamka tukakuta nyumba yote wamnachomekea hapo. Kumabutu amochandu onde kuutwa vitu ya mochandu. Moka mwakwa byengine. Ngine nyumba ya likana na ndine.
The house was burned to the ground, with Zipporah's mother and 2 sisters inside. This tree marks their graves, and that of her father, uncle, and grandmother, who all passed within the next few years. Mutulukuni residents began to fear Zipporah's unusual misfortune. They said the place was cursed, and she was cursed for living there.
They think that it is a place where it is not good for people to stay. It is a cursed place, so they don't want to stay there.
Many of her neighbors chose to move away and urged Zipporah to come with them. But she refused.
But me, I believe that it is not a curse because God can do something. There is my mom, my sisters, my father, my uncle, all of them are there. They are buried there. So I don't see like the others. Mine is to make sure that it is not a cursed place, but it is a blessed place. That is what I believe.
From that day forward, Zipporah did everything she could to mend the reputation of her home the resting place of her loved ones. She cultivated the earth hoping that a healthy farm with successful harvests would prove its worth. Zipporah also looked to God for comfort and guidance, trusting that He would bless her. And she was right. As a young woman, Zipporah met Nicholas, her husband and companion. Nicholas was drawn to her after their very first meeting.
I told her the kind of wife I was looking for because I saw different girls, but I wanted someone who is going to the church. And when I met her, we talked and we agreed on the issue of being in the church.
The couple began their married life in another denomination of Christianity, but converted to Adventism after Nicholas heard teachings about the Sabbath from an evangelistic campaign.
When Pastor told me, I heard a news that there was a good church, a truth from Seventh-day Adventists. I joined him and we got baptized. It is my choice that I want to choose to work for God.
It's been years since the couple's baptism, and Nicholas now serves as an Adventist pastor for the congregations in Cotuí County, and Zipporah sells books door to door. She learned about the opportunity in church and decided to give it a try.
Ndio sasa from there nikapanga na mimi kwa sababu nilikuwa nimtumikie Mungu. Sasa na mimi niingie kwa kazi ndio nianze kutumikia Mungu kwa hiyo njia.
Zipporah has a warm personality that helps her connect with strangers. She walks from house to house, selling books and spreading kindness. She is passionate about her work because it's helping to spread the gospel and dispel her home's negative reputation.
That is why I choose to stay there, to cultivate there, to give somewhere to plant a church, so that people may see like it is not a curse, it is a blessing place. That is my belief, and I know it will be, and it is.
She dreams of having an Adventist church in Mutulukuni, right on the land her neighbors said was cursed.
Because my wife has been telling me, this mountain must have a Adventist church. We have to frontier one day build a small church for the people within.
A small group of worshipers have formed here, but they can't afford a structure to meet in. Their congregation struggles to gain legitimacy and new members. But Zipporah won't give up, not until the faith community she envisioned is an undeniable beacon of light for all in its vicinity. When we come back, meet Dorcas, a woman mocked for her faith and excluded from the resource she needed most. Cotuí County in southern Kenya is a place that demands a certain level of grit from those who call it home. Dorcas Kasi Stephen lives in the village of Changunga. It's about 30 miles south of Zipporah's home in Mutulukuni and shares many similarities. Dorcas also spends a large amount of time on agricultural endeavors. Her expansive garden requires hours of upkeep, and still more time is spent caring for her household and animals. Dorcas chickens are worth about 1,000 Kenyan shillings each, the equivalent of nearly $7. And each adult goat is worth 7,000 shillings, or roughly $50. The average Cotuí resident earns the equivalent of about $100 a month, making these animals a significant investment. But they don't just represent Dorcas money. Keeping them healthy takes water, and in Changunga, collecting water is hard work. Dorcas didn't belong to a church with a water well and couldn't afford to pay for access, so she collected water here. It is the only water source for those barred from the wells in town. The river is more than a kilometer from Dorcas' home, and when it disappears during the dry season, people dig into its sandy bed until a small puddle forms, a practice called sand scooping. Dorcas needs water for her garden, animals, household chores, cooking, and drinking, so accessing enough was challenging and time-consuming. But amid her shortage, Dorcas never stopped giving. She and her husband are founding members of Changunga's Seventh-day Adventist congregation. Dorcas is dedicated to supporting her church family. She collects extra water to clean their meeting place on Sabbath mornings and cooks a meal for members. Changunga's Adventist Church was forced to meet in this rented room in a strip mall because it's all they could afford. The humble location complicated Dorcas' efforts to welcome new worshipers.
Nienda nyumba kwa nyumba nikiwahubiria siku ya kweli ya kuabudu. Nikiwa wengi wanakuja, wakikataa kuja ninawarudia, ninaenda kila Sabato nikiwachukua tuje kuabudu. Hivyo. Watu wakaja wakakubali, wengine wanakataa.
Those who refused her often claimed that if Dorcas' God were true, he would have given her a real church building to worship in. These remarks stung, but Dorcas knew that God was with her, no matter where she met on Sabbath. The experiences of Zipporah and Dorcas tell a story that's echoed across Kenya. It's the story of people maintaining a spirit of hope through adverse circumstances, yearning for a resolution that isn't guaranteed.
They don't have churches, but yet they are so determined to go to their worship places, whether it's under the trees, whether it's the rented places. The only challenge they face is when it rains, they can't worship under the trees. When it's hot, it's too hot for them to worship under the trees. So they are forced to look for places where they can rent. But as you know, they don't have a lot of income, so the church members sometimes are not able to pay the rent.
In Kenya, 2.12% of the population is Seventh-day Adventist. That's 1 in every 147 people. The Adventist Church in Kitui is growing, but doesn't yet have the financial viability to upgrade its infrastructure.
The challenge that we are facing here, finances. If we get people building churches, it's not simple. Even getting church land, the plots. Even now I have churches which are worshiping in our land or houses because we have not yet acquired a land where we can build a church. Money, finances. It's a challenge.
In 2016, Maranatha Volunteers International began working in Kenya in response to this need.
We have worked in Kenya for several years, but there are still need of churches and water wells and classrooms and schools to be helped. There are unentered territories where the pastors and the global mission pioneers are making efforts to go and reach out to them. And when they reach out and have members, they come to Maranatha and they ask us to help them with churches.
Maranatha's One-Day Church, or ODC, was launched in 2008. Unlike some of Maranatha's more elaborate projects, which include aesthetic elements, the ODC was designed with the single goal of efficiency. Its parts are easily transportable to some of the world's most remote construction sites. Its frame provides a stable starting point that members can build walls around with local materials. And its simple design allows construction crews to build it in, you guessed it, under a day. Komla Komeki is the leader of Maranatha's ODC crew in Kenya.
I met Maranatha in Ghana through a friend where we proposed the job to me. Yeah, since I'm working with Maranatha, I build a 1,000 plus churches, ODC. Yes.
Like the seasoned conductor of a great symphony, Komla guides his team through the construction process. Groundwork sets the tone, providing a strong foundation to build on. The crew arrives on the scene, unloading their tools and steel church pieces. Next, they clear the dirt away from each concrete anchor point, creating room to attach support columns. They arrange the church frame on the ground and begin to assemble its trusses. Vertical columns are secured and the tempo picks up speed. Trusses are raised by hand with a pulley. They're attached in a duet, each side synchronized and efficient. Roofing is the grand finish, when a skeleton becomes a shelter. It's a composition Komla's performed time and again, and one that has impacted him greatly.
Honestly, Maranatha changed my life. If I want to start how Maranatha helped me, we are not going to leave this place today. So I'm very happy to be a part of Maranatha organization. It's a good company, and I'm proud with Maranatha organization.
When we come back, Komla's story intersects with those of Zipporah and Dorcas. It's Sabbath in Kitui, Kenya. Dorcas and other Changunga Adventist Church members have gathered at their usual meeting room in the strip mall. But there's something quite unusual about this week's service. They've come for their chairs and pulpit, never to return. Without permanent church buildings, sometimes congregations break apart. They aren't able to gain the momentum they need, and their precious faith community dissolves. But this isn't the case in Changunga, because today, members march triumphantly to their brand new one-day church structure, where they will worship together on their own land, under their own roof, for the very first time.
And as the church members were taking their chairs from their small shop to their one-day church, that is something they are proud of. It's like they got a special gift from the Lord. I watched the community, just watching them, like, where are they going? They always worship here in this rented place, and they're just taking their chairs. Where are they going?
Hata sasa wameanza kusema kanisa la kweli sasa ni SDA, wanakuja na pia wanasema tukijenga, yani Maranatha ikijenga watakuja kwa wengi, na pia nimeona wameanza.
And then, as the church members were arranging their chairs under the one-day church, it gave them, the church members, a sense of belonging that now we have a church. See, our God also provides.
God also used Maranatha to provide a water well in Changunga. Everyone assumed that all of the groundwater under the village was salty because all 7 of the other wells here produce salty water. But miraculously, the Maranatha well is fresh. And unlike the other wells in the village, reserved for a select few, this gift from God is free for anyone to use. It's a miracle that has changed the lives of Dorcas and so many others.
Kitu ya kwanza, kila mtu anastahili kuchota na ni fresh na hakuna pingamizi yeyote ukichota. Ni free kwa kila mtu. Na pia nimepanda miti sasa. Nyingi. Kwa hivyo kinanisaidia, na pia community wanajenga, wanafanya matofali.
Back in Mutulukuni, Zipporah's wait for a church structure also came to an end when Komla and the crew built an ODC on her property. She watched in excitement as her vision for a church took shape before her eyes.
I'm very happy because God answered my prayer that people will see it is a blessing place. It is not a cursed place. So I'm so happy.
Sometimes what you say against God's people, it's not true. And she kept mentioning that this is a blessed place. This is a blessed place. And indeed, that will be a blessed place for the church members and the community around there.
And the others who have not been coming to the church, they are ready to join the church also, because now they can see we have that building there. It is God's miracle. So it's a miracle which has been done there. And we say, glory be to God.
God used the Maranatha community to switch the narrative in Mutulukuni and Changunga. He showed Zipporah and Dorcas that they are more than what others call them. They are worthy of adequate places to worship Him. But the work of Maranatha is far from finished in Kenya. Our water well crew continues to drill, improving agriculture, sanitation, and health across the country. Komla and his team continue to build for congregations in need.
I feel bad because people are serving God. They are serving God in difficult condition, which is not right. We have a lot of requests from different conferences and fields. Not only that, I travel a lot for different parts of Kenya to see how difficult people are serving God. And the condition where they are serving God is not helpful.
I wish that all of our church members at least have a one-day church or something to worship under, so that they can also boastfully say, yes, our God provided a church for us, and they can invite new members to worship under that church.
We are going to pray so that our prayer can touch the donor hearts, so that they can raise a fund, so that we can have more churches.
Do you feel God touching your heart to give? Will you join the donors who are switching the narrative in Kitui, Kenya and beyond? Any gift, no matter the size, can show people like Zipporah and Dorcas that they serve a God who cares for them. A God whose love is loud enough to drown out the voices of doubt.